What are your top 5 of these going in? Emmanuel Acho, a Texas guy turned media member. Quarterbacks going into next season is what I'm looking for here. Number 1, Mahomes. Number 2, Burrow. Number 3, Hurts. Number 4, Allen. Number 5, Lamar Jackson. You know, I hadn't thought about this in a while, but my first thing going in is, before you compile your list, is it's more up for debate than ever that I can remember. Tua and Jared Goff had top 5 total QBRs. And then you've had retirements, you know, Breeze and Brady. And you also have the NFL running more and protecting quarterbacks more than ever, which brings in a different type of quarterback. For the first time, you don't have to be a great pocket passer to be a great NFL quarterback. I should say, for the first time in my life. In the 80s, by the time I started tuning into the NFL, you had to be a great pocket passer with incredible accuracy, anticipation, and timing to be a great NFL quarterback, and it has remained that way for a long, long time. But we had a couple of things going on. Number 1, social acceptance of a more diverse idea of what a quarterback can look like and be like. The protection for the quarterbacks that want to be mobile. You can't hit these guys. And if you do, you're facing big fines. So now I'm feeling more free to run. I'm just going to slide. I'm not going to get beat up. I'm not going to have to, actually play football, actually play tackle football at quarterback anymore, which makes teams more comfortable with letting their quarterbacks run. So now that is happening, I think there are tons of different ways you can answer this question. Who are the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL? I just don't think there's much debate with the first 3. It's Mahomes, Rodgers, Burrow, end of story. How about that for a hot take, Brian? What do you got for me? Chief, what do you got?
Yeah.
Mahomes, Rodgers, Burrow is where you're at?
Yeah, it's the official list.
Okay, so I would have, obviously, Mahomes. Everybody would. And then I think a lot of people are going to have Joe Burrow at number 2 over Aaron Rodgers at this point. I would be in that same group. And then after that, do you still give it to Rodgers to an extent, or do you like some of these young guys, the rushing game? Where are you at with Josh Allen right now? Was he dealing with an elbow injury, or was he just kind of lucky for about a year or two, and now he's kind of regressed back to what he has always been, which is erratic and inaccurate at times? I'm Mahomes, Burrow, and then I'd probably hit Allen still, because I do think the elbow had a lot to do with his issues, and he is still a guy, when he is healthy, I think a guy who can throw the ball extremely well, and he also has the rushing capabilities like a Jalen Hurts has. So I would still go Josh Allen, and then I would probably go Hurts with the way he can run the ball, and he really was good on Sunday outside of the fumble. And then I'd go probably Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. All right. So no Rodgers for you at all?
I'm not going to have Rodgers in my top 5.
2 MVPs.
2 MVPs.
Rebuilding team. Almost goes on a huge winning streak to put them in the playoffs late.
Almost.
So he's washed now?
I'm not going to say he's washed, because I still think he'd be a top 10 quarterback. And if you're washed, I don't think you're in the top 10.
I will accept, I think, challenges with Burrow for the second spot. And to me, like, the jury's come back into the room on Josh Allen, now we're going to see. He hasn't had the best offensive line or weapons either, and has played some really good football, but you're going to have to see how the next 15 to 20 games go, I think, before your opinion solidifies, and how invested are the Bills going to be in, keeping a really good defense and surroundings around him. It kind of seems like they're going to have to go into a salary cap rebuild, and I think that's going to affect his, production quite a bit, Brian.
You know what? I've got Mahomes, Burrow, Rodgers, Allen, and Lawrence were my 5 that I had, and that's putting Lawrence in there because me, I love that guy out there at the Chargers. I'll be interested to see how that works out with him and Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore's done it. The ball does move. They do score points. That offense and stuff like that. Can he help that guy out there? In Los Angeles at the Chargers. To me, I have to flip Lawrence. I'm right with him right now. I just feel like that Lawrence is with the right guy. I think he's with the right team. I think they're going to find ways to spend money. They're going to try and get him weapons. I think that Doug knows about players and drafting and things like that. I just can see Lawrence getting better every year. And I don't know if I could always say that about what's going on with that guy. Brandon Staley's one of those guys that's on the hot seat right now, the Chargers coach.
For sure.
So, I mean, this is a major move for him to go out and get Kellen Moore, maybe to try and save his job.
Yeah, and a lot of people feel like Kellen Moore is going to be really good for that situation. We'll have to see. It appears that Keenan Allen is going to move on from that. I don't think it's crazy to put Dak in this top 5. I really don't. I know that there are times this season where he struggled. But if you're talking about guys like Justin Herbert, if you just go off the stats of the resumes, these are very comparable things. Josh Allen compared to what Dak's done at the height of his powers. I think this is very, very flexible, especially after Patrick Mahomes. But more than that, I'll go Burrow and Rodgers, I think, are pretty dang solidified as 2-3. But, I mean, like, if you're a super fan of Miami, you can say, well, look at Tua's numbers.
Yeah.
When the guy was healthy, he was playing way more efficient football than all but just a couple of guys in the entire league. And if you're a Dolphin super fan, you're feeling like you're right on Tua. Like, he just got to be healthy. The only thing wrong with him is he breaks down. Jared Goff has taken a team to a Super Bowl and took the Lions of all teams on an 8-1 run, beats Aaron Rodgers week 18. Again, has better efficiency numbers than almost anybody. Trash take, Dawson. Dak is fringe top 10 right now. I understand. I think that's a valid opinion. I think if you want to say Dak's out of the top 10, fine. If you want to say Dak's my 5th best quarterback, there is the statistical evidence, and it's close enough. Quarterback is a very inexact science. Mm-hmm. You can drop guys in and out of different contexts. The way that we saw Dak play with the transitioning offensive line and only CeeDee Lamb, no Wookiee tight end, 3 try-hard dudes who have a good job of getting open, and maybe Ferguson's pretty athletic. But whoever you're going to put in slots 4 and 5 in your top 5 quarterback rankings, Dak is going to stack up very, very well against him, not only for this season, but for the career.
Can I ask you guys this question? Quarterback purgatory, these teams. You tell me if they're in purgatory or not with their quarterback. Okay. Buffalo.
No.
Miami.
Yes.
No.
New England.
What's purgatory mean?
Like that point where you're between being.
I don't think you can be in purgatory if I haven't paid you.
Hell and heaven.
Oh, haven't paid you.
Yeah,
okay.
like I haven't paid. The Dolphins haven't paid Tua, so they.
But they don't. I was just saying you don't know what you have.
Oh,
yeah, you don't know where you're going.
Okay, hell or heaven. You're kind of in between the two.
Okay.
How about New England?
Yes.
Jets.
Yes.
Cincinnati. Cincinnati's no, right?
No.
Baltimore.
Yes.
No, he's an asset. If you're not going to pay him, somebody will, and you'll get something for him.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
With Kenny Pickett?
Yeah.
Probably.
Cleveland.
Yes.
I think it's going to stabilize. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get any more massages. He'll be good. He'll be good next year.
Jacksonville? No. Tennessee?
Yes.
Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Houston?
Yeah.
That's a division you want to be in right there. That's why Jacksonville's going to run away with that thing next year. Kansas City?
No. There's no purgatory there. Gavin sounds like a ball sack garbage disposal with this Dak take. And not like Bassick. Just a regular sack.
It just seems like a lot of these teams.
I had to get that in there. That was pretty entertaining.
No, it just seems like a lot of these teams, like the Chargers.
No, man. Herbert's good. It's
good enough.
Raiders.
Yeah, I mean they don't have a quarterback right
now.
Denver. Yeah, I think they're in a nightmare situation.
See, I mean, you just go through the NFC. Philadelphia.
A lot of teams are in purgatory.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
A lot of teams have pretty good but not great quarterbacks.
Yeah,
there's a lack of like a legit top 5 right now. I think it's like a top 3. And you'll just see who does a better job surrounding their player and saying, bleep the salary cap. That's the quarterback that often is going to produce so well. He's got a good defense. He doesn't have to force things. He's got good protection, good running game. Oh, look at this. I'm an MVP candidate. We won 12 or 13 games. Like, that's the league right now. And, I think the teams doing the best job at being flexible and fluid with their team building every spring are going to be the ones that figure out ways to get back instead of, just believing, well, we have a franchise quarterback, so that's our ticket to ride. I just don't think that's not what it is right now.
Can I ask you about one more team?
Sure.
Detroit.
No. I think they found something that works for Jared Goff.
I mean, I guess he's in that class, kind of like what Dawson's talking about. There is a wide group of quarterbacks now after the top guaranteed. I would say really at this point 2 for sure in Mahomes and Burrow. After that, the gap between these guys is not very big. And what creates the big gap is how much help are you getting? Because Jalen Hurts, he runs the ball very, very well. And I got him at 4 right now. And a lot of the reason why I have him at 4 is because he's got immense talent around him and an organization that wants to continue to put that in front of him. And right now he's got the best offensive line. He's got a great tight end. He's got 2 number 1 wide receivers. Okay, things are good for you, Jalen Hurts. And I think you could probably put Dak Prescott in there and see similar results. You could probably put a lot of these quarterbacks that you have after the top big dogs and say, yeah, in that environment, he could have an MVP kind of season. Tua is a great example. Tua is extremely limited, but when you give him a wizard play caller and you give him all the speed in the world and a little bit of protection, man, he can actually, for a time, look like an MVP quarterback. Like the gap between quarterback number 3 and quarterback number 10 is very, very small.
Yeah, Kyler Murray was an MVP, last year, and now people act like he's too busy playing video games to understand the way the football works. Gavin, you've lost it mentioning Dak in the top 5. 469, Gavin calling Dak top 5 is not reasonable, and then 972, the turnovers. And yeah, I mean that's a pretty significant factor with the turnovers, but it hasn't been for his career. So I think 7 years in, you do get a little bit of credit, and maybe one season can get a little sample sizey on you. Look at that. Look at me defending Dak. I told you the take would surprise you. I'm usually on the other side of it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it also comes down to like who do you trust in big moments, and unfortunately, the last 2 years, big moments. You've had 3 of them, and Dak has played well in 1. And in the other ones, he couldn't score 20 points, couldn't score 16 points. Yeah. And so do you trust him? And at what point does it become the narrative around the quarterback? And the younger quarterbacks have the advantage to have not been in the big moments, so we don't know that we can't trust them yet. And so we're assuming since you're Herbert and Lawrence and a top 5 pick and you're 6'6", and you look like you have all the tools, that you aren't going to collapse in the big moments. But it remains to be seen. At this point, Dak's 30 years old. We've seen him collapse in the big moments. Some of that trust has waned. We'll see with some of these other young guys who haven't been there yet.